So a little over a year ago, I made a video called Why Did I Stop Collecting Comic Books? Now, all the reasons in that video are still valid, still hold up, and are true. But there was one reason in particular that was a little more personal that I didn't share until now. So I'm spilling the tea and warning you guys why you have to be careful with which comic shops you trust. And you're going to get to learn a little bit about graded comic books today as well. So stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to The Well-Rounded Dude. My name is Chris. Before we hop into it, if you dig today's video, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe. That helps us out immensely. But without further ado, let's get into the story time, right? It was 2017. I was on my way to a comic book convention to meet for the second or third time Austin St. John. You guys may remember him as the original Red Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. He was in town, local to me, and you know, I wanted to get some stuff signed. So I took my comic book and I got it signed by him. Now, it's kind of important to the story, but his signature cost $40. Not to mention, I specifically went to that convention to get this signature on this book and to get it graded. So, about 10, 15, maybe 20 bucks. I don't really remember. It's a long time ago to get into the convention, get the book signed, which I did. I'm already in the hole about 60 bucks, which was fine. So I had an arrangement with my local comic shop at the time, where I could get books submitted to be graded, and I would get it at a cheaper cost, a little bit, you know, save a couple bucks here and there. Now, for those that don't know, these are graded comic books. This is my copy of, my first printing copy of Batman the Killing Joke. This is the issue where Barbara Gordon is paralyzed by the Joker, at a 9.8. 9.8 is like pretty much the highest you can get. You can get 10s, but that's extremely rare because, fun fact about comic books, you know, there's really no such thing as a perfect book. It's very rare, especially if you get them off the shelf. They're already quote unquote dinged or damaged. So in the world of collecting comic books, a 9.8 is the best you can hope for. But there are books that are 9.9s and 10s. Those are the rarest. So I get this book signed, I get it submitted, and the thing about getting books back, now the service that we used was CBCS. The book I just showed you, this one is from CGC. That's also another thing I want to point out is if you're going to get a book graded, go CGC. Don't worry about CBCS. That's just a personal thing. Some of you guys watching out there may disagree, but CGC is kind of like, you know, the name that everybody looks for. CBCS, it's kind of like, in my personal opinion, kind of like a generic name, even though it's really not, but I digress. But the process of getting a comic book back from the graders is timely. Takes a little bit of time, maybe month, 2 months maybe, depending. Depends how backed up they are, because they look at every single book, and each book gets its own like file in their system and their notes and what the grade is and everything, just in case you guys didn't know that. So it takes a little bit of time, and takes a little bit of time for you to get it back, which I knew going in, right? That's par for the course. Now, the problem was, once the book came back, my local comic shop guy was, your book's back, you can come pick it up, and I went. Now, CBCS made a mistake on their labeling. Again, labeling, like this book isn't autographed, but it does contain like some details. Like I do believe, like what I told you about Joker crippling Barbara Gordon is in the details, right? So hopefully you can see that. An autograph book is going to tell you who signed the book and what they wrote on the book, right? So Austin St. John played Jason Scott, like I said, the original Red Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. For whatever reason, okay? Now, what's also important too, before I go into that, is that usually if you've never had anything signed by a celebrity, they're going to sign their name and then in parentheses the character that is either on the print that you're showing them or the comic or what they're famous for, if they're only famous for one thing. But like, he's famous for being Jason, the Red Ranger. So he wrote Austin St. John, in parentheses, Jason. CBCS read it as Austin St. John, parentheses, Jacob. So it's wrong. And this is where the trouble goes in the story. So I said to my local comic shop guy, hey, this is wrong. And he's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, yes, it is. I would know. Granted, not everybody's a Power Ranger fan, but whatever. And so he's like, well, I'll send it back to them and they'll fix it. I'm like, okay. And I never saw the book again. Months go by. I ask him about the book. Did you send it out? And he's like, oh, no, I haven't sent it out yet. I'll get around to it. I'm like, okay. Months go by. I ask him about it. Oh, I did send it out, but it came back wrong, which I never saw again. So I don't know if that's true, but I have no reason to believe that he lied at this point. A few more months go by. Actually, by this point, it's now a year had gone by, and I never saw the book. I asked them. I didn't get an answer. And at that point, I was done. I was very frustrated, to say the least, that this is that person's business. And for over a year to send something out to get it back, or, you know, it should never have happened. Especially when this is what you do. If you're in a comic book shop, like, and you offer this service, you know, of submitting books for CGC and CBCS, this is what you do. You handle it. You do it in a timely manner, as timely as possible, because granted, there are shipping costs involved, depending on how busy they are. There was a lot of factors, but over a year was irresponsible, and it really soured my taste for collecting the shop that I was going to, and I was just done. You know, so finally I was just like, okay, I just stopped going. I didn't even, you know, kind of give notice, because if I wasn't respected enough to be informed about what's going on with my book, I didn't feel that I needed to say anything else, and that was that. So that's my lesson for you guys in this, is collecting comics is a great hobby, but you got to be careful of who you trust, who with your books. If you have something rare, luckily mine wasn't rare. It was just, you know, it was autographed, and you know, I'm out the money, but at least the money for the actual autograph. I didn't pay for the grading, because I was going to do that when I got the book back, which I never did. And that's 7 years ago, so I don't really have any high hopes. But just be careful. Get recommendations. You know, if you have a book that is very super rare, I know some people have access to like much rarer books, like maybe first appearances. You know, there are the lucky ones out there that got like Amazing Fantasy 15s, You know, first appearance of Spider-Man, if you guys don't know, or some, you know, Hulk 181s, you know, first appearance of Wolverine, anything like that, it's probably best to do it yourself and submit at a convention rather than submitting through your local comic shop. It may be cheaper, but it's just not safe. You have no kind of you know, proof that you handed it over, you know. And this was, unfortunately, this was a friend, and it kind of soured the relationship, and you know, but it's just something that you should be very careful about. If you're a collector, don't trust every shop, don't trust every owner. Know what you're doing. And I mean, in this case, it was somebody I knew for years, and they just, I don't know if they just kind of lost interest or didn't care or what, but it is what it is. You know, I can go to another convention that Austin St. John will be at and get a book signed. You know, it wasn't a super rare book. It was one of the Boom issues that I have a duplicate of. So it's not something that I isn't, you know, hard to replace. But man, if it was a book that was super hard to replace, I'd be pissed. So in closing, yeah, just learn who to trust. You know, luckily now I go to Dork Forest Comics. It's a good friend of mine. You know, I don't think he does CGC submissions, so I don't have to worry about that. But you know, Rob's been a good guy. If you're in the Rochester area, he's a great guy to deal with. Pretty fair, pretty honest, and definitely you should go there. And you know, for those that are still in the hobby, my hat's off to you. It's not an easy hobby to be in anymore, in my personal opinion. We discussed that last time, you know, just the cost of books and, you know, the return of investment in the hobby and the stories and everything. But if you're still into it, my hat's off to you. And, you know, also, if you find yourself like in my position where you're just kind of like soured on the collecting, but still want to be in the stories, you know, I mean, digital is a great place to go. I know usually we talk about physical media and how like physical media is more important. And with comics, it's kind of the same too, but digital is at least you get to read the story, enjoy the story for what it is. And if you want it, you can always go out and get it later on. So with that, we will catch you next time. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, do all the social media things. Help me fight the YouTube algorithm. Ring the bell. Be sure to check out thewellroundeddude.com. The website is really the hub of everything we do here. You'll find links to past videos, our merch page, which Dude 15 will save you 15% if I didn't mention that already. And, you know, there's a lot of cool stuff like the 5 most recent episodes of our podcast. So, again, we will see you next time. I hope at least some of you guys have embraced reading comics or giving it a try, because it really is a lot of fun. And, you know, our media is so reflective of the comic book culture now. So it's a great way to, you know, if you like something you see on TV, really dive into the full story in book form. So we'll see you next time, guys. Take care. Peace.